and oh, night is coming slow. There's a light that leads into a world, a place to be unknown, discovered by my own. Raise your glass and sing along. So raise your glass, your home's where you belong. Feel the love, my brother, sing along. Celebrate and drinking all night long. Feel the earth moving. Just let it in and let it out. Into a new raise a glass and oh, night is coming slow. There's a light that leads into a world, a place to be unknown, discovered by my own. Raise your glass and sing along. So raise your glass, your home's where you belong. Feel the love, my brother, sing along. Celebrate and drinking all night long. Feel the earth moving. Just let it in and let it out. Into a new
Open And now we're live. Now
we're live.
I literally was like, I'm not ready to go until I do the Illuminati sound cue on the hold screen. I got
I'm glad it worked.
weirdly picky about that. I am glad it worked because I would have just sat here like, no, I'm gonna press the buttons.
I mean, until we get like a nice little like theme song going.
Oh, thank you, Hooblu.
Hooblu, you sweet baby. I love you. Thanks.
Slancha, lasagna. Oh.
Lasagna. I'm drinking actual alcohol, which I haven't
4
done
months.
in a few Arcana checks. Yeah. Ooh,
we
need to get a 4-month song eventually.
Yeah, what was the 4-month song gonna sound like? Now I'm like, who do I message? Who should I ask?
Who should I channel for the 4
months?
Channel? I'm just out here like,
I know.
Should we? I'm like aggressively getting like a fucking Todrick call just because I keep saying like nails, hips, hair, heels, meats, hell, here. I just want to find a way to do that into a 4-month song.
Similarly, I was like, oh, I should channel Cher. I was like, Cher's still alive.
If we seance, I'm sure she'll respond. I feel like she's close enough to like the ether to be like, yeah, no, I know you're calling for me.
Yeah, she just will hear us. She'll just be, I don't know. I don't do a very good Cher impression, so I'm not even. I don't even know if I'm gonna try. Just
I can't do impressions, so it's fine.
In my head, she kind of, like her mouth is kind of frozen. But like there's more to it than that. Like I can't get it. I'll work on it.
I want to share now. You have to dress up as sexy David Pumpkins and as Cher for Halloween. So.
Oh my gosh! Well, and I was also thinking of like Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil. What I thought would be fun about that would be that like I could get really really high shoes and then hem the skirt so that like it looks appropriate. And then just, like, sneak up behind a bunch of people, like, all night and just go, well, Ethan Winters.
I love that. I love that for you. I love that for everyone.
I thought it would be funny.
Well, it is. It would be funny. I feel like especially as you get drunker and, like, slur that part. That'll be funnier.
Ethan Winters.
Oh,
well, it says you. Welcome to my castle.
I mean, for real.
Ooh, guy dressed as Slenderman did that to Will Davies.
And he beat him up.
I mean,
get it, but also like, damn, it's a person in a costume. I stole a big enemy sword and we killed it.
Honestly, like Slenderman's up to no good all the time. Slenderman has it coming.
Bro.
Dude, remember that time those girls killed or tried to kill that other girl because they thought Slenderman was telling them to? Or did they successfully do it? I don't remember.
I thought they did, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they just stabbed them a bunch of times.
I don't know why, but yeah, in my head, and here, I'll look it up, but in my head...
look it up because I think this is important.
Yeah. Slenderman stabbing. In my head, like, they thought they had done it, but, the girl that they thought they had stabbed didn't actually... Yeah, like
crawled
made it
back, and she's like, oh god, they did it! These fucking psychotic bitches.
Weirdly, in a way, it's different because, it obviously happened directly to her, but it kind of, in my head, reminds me a little bit of the, like, what is the waiter of Marie Callender's who served Heaven's Gate their last meal? Like, what is their deal now when they just, like, go around and everyone's like, oh, like, tell the group something that, is unique or unusual about you.
What's a fun fact about you?
Right? Similarly, I'm like, obviously I assume this girl will never be, fully recovered in terms of just like, because that's a severely traumatic experience. And I don't know what the physical impact or long-lasting sort of situation might be. But I'm also just like, in terms of when you choose to divulge that information, how people react, just be like, oh, remember that time those two girls stabbed somebody? because of Slenderman. It was me. Like I don't know. It's one of those things.
The stabby, if you will.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I guess if it's too awkward, she can always choose not to say anything. But it's just like in my head, I'm kind of like, I don't know why. I just think to myself like how weird it has to be having that information and being like, am I going to share this? You know, things are going well with my partner. We've been together for months. Maybe now is the time that I tell them that I was
stabbed.
Stabbed.
Probably how many times was she stabbed? I feel like she was stabbed multiple times.
I agree. Let's see. Ooh. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
It was several times. And there were some injuries to major organs. I'm trying to find.
She survived.
Yeah, attempted murder by stabbing. She did survive.
Oh, thank God.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and actually, she left the hospital 7 days after the attack and returned to school, I think the following year? Or wait. No, not even. No, she returned, well, for the next school year. So, like, this happened in May of 2014.
Oh my God.
She went back to school
over the summer.
In September.
That's it. Sorry, it's not funny. It's really impressive. I'm like, either she literally like dissociated so hard that she's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't think anything happened. Or she is a resilient piece of work that I'm just like, Zam, were you really traumatized before? And like, damn.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed. Wow.
Peyton Leutner.
What's her name?
Peyton, Leutner, Leutner, I believe.
Leutner.
Yeah.
Leutner.
Peyton Leutner.
Yeah.
And yeah, and similarly, like kids are rough. Like school's rough regardless. Similar thing, like coming back to school in September and them being like, hey,
what happened?
Didn't Anissa and Morgan try to stab you? No, they did. They succeeded. Oh, I thought that was a rumor. No. Afraid not. Afraid not.
I just imagine like, I don't know, how old was she? Like she was not very old. Like,
I think all of them were 12. Let me double check on this.
Fuck.
Yeah,
that's
no, like
the worst time. She's probably like more concerned about her scar showing. She's like, oh God, like no, people are gonna see my scars, instead of being like, holy fuck, someone tried to kill me.
Gosh, like, my heart goes out to her. Like this, like
yeah, for real.
It's rough. Yeah. So they were all 12, from what I could tell. And yes, she was lured into the forest and stabbed 19 times by people who she thought were her friends. So
can you imagine? Oh my God.
So fucked up.
That part is so much worse. It's like not a stranger, it's someone who you thought you could trust because they were your friend.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny because like I think with Slenderman, right? Slenderman being this I don't know, this spooky pasta, this like internet folklore spooky or whatever. Pasta. It's like, yeah, like Slenderman's not a real monster, but also kind of is in a way in terms of like.
I mean, yeah, as long as like if it's thought about and like it has like influenced, like I mean, obviously, like you can't deny it, like to some degree, like it's real in that way.
Yeah, well, and I there's so much kind of like about this that I vaguely remember because there's a fantastic documentary about it, and called Beware the Slender Man. It's from HBO, and I remember watching it, and something that I thought was just fascinating about it was like in terms of how all of this went down. I mean, they were 12, so there were aspects of it where like, yeah, and then we're gonna go here, and it's like, you know, several miles from A to B where they thought they were going afterward, but they kind of hadn't realized that. Like, there's no way in
they're children,
right? Because they are children,
right. That's crazy.
Will Davies HBO Slenderman with gratuitous HBO nudity. Oh dear.
Yes, ghost penis or monster penis. but like not in the good way.
Just, I mean, you know, just there if he has any fluids that he needs to excrete. I don't know how his what
If we must.
I don't know how slenderman urology works. I am seeing Nacho asking if we've heard of a tulpa.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So like a tulpa is kind of like a thought form. But I'm trying to remember what like who I'm trying to remember like where tulpas originally come from in terms of like
to the wiki pages.
Yes. So it's a concept in theosophy, mysticism, and the paranormal of a being or object which is created through spiritual or mental powers. Modern practitioners use the term to refer to a type of willed imagined being which practitioners consider to be sentient and relatively independent. Tulpas have thoughts, emotions, and personalities separate from their host. People who have one or more tulpa are called tulpamancers. Tulpas can be created with a collection of meditated techniques or accidentally when someone has an imaginary friend that persists later in life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Isn't that the whole fucking like plot of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? Just a bunch of tulpas.
I don't know,
That's
maybe.
amazing.
Is that what happens in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends?
They're just imaginary friends that they don't want. So they were just tulpas that they were like, well, sorry. And then they're like, I guess. Luckily, they were nice tulpas. They were just like, oh, I guess I'm going to live in this house with other weird things.
They weren't like Slenderman tulpas.
Yeah.
Being all creepy and inciting people to murder. And I'm seeing Nacho saying there are people that purposefully create tulpas. Sometimes the tulpas can be dangerous. And that's I'm kind of curious with respect to tulpas because I feel like there are like a handful of distinctions both within like tulpas and tulpamancy that I'm not super clear on, and then also I know I was saying it's like a thought form, what's the other term that's kind of like that in chaos magic?
And wait, like what is the term that you're trying to associate it with?
Thought form.
I know the word too, but I forgot.
You know, it's funny.
Figment? No.
Well, it's funny because I googled it in Wikipedia. It was like, do you mean a tulpa? And I was like, pretty much.
But the other word for it,
whatever the other word is, for tulpas, egregor, an occult concept representing a distinct non-physical entity that arises from a collective group of people. These are like within Enochian traditions, like angels and stuff like that. So like it's right. Like a collective thought form more so than like a single person.
Like a single person.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be more inclined to like believe in that rather than a tulpa. Like only because I feel like the power of collectiveness would be like probably more efficient than I mean, like I'm sure some people can do that, but I feel like that's a lot, like to create something like that. Also, I do want to go back to this Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends real quick. They had a whole episode about scribbles, which are basically little tulpas that babies make when they're like babies and like they don't understand what they are, so they're all little scribbles. But then they like all live there, so there's a room full of like tulpas that are little scribbles. So yeah, it's canon. Foster's Home is about tulpas.
Why is that? That is adorable to me, and it's adorable and really sad cute. And confusing, and it's very cute.
It's just like when the babies are just like, you know, me, grabbing things, they're just like me, grabbing stuff, and then like but like they're apparently really fun, but then they lose their shit. So at some point they started attacking everyone in the house. So yeah, very much like a tulpa. It makes sense.
Tribbles, the trouble with triples. So something that that jumped out at me on the Wikipedia page about tulpas is that, so there are online communities dedicated to tulpas on like 4chan and Reddit. I've definitely been to the Reddit one once or twice, just like, you know, when you're in a rabbit hole, when you're like, it's 2 a.m.
You commit.
Let's be honest, I'm not sleeping. Tulpas, why the fuck not?
Fucking go.
Let's fucking go. So the communities refer to themselves as Tulpamancers and offer guides and support for others. But what the thing that I was like, ooh, this is interesting to me, and odd. The communities gained popularity when adult fans of My Little Pony created forums for tulpas of the characters from the My Little Pony television series.
That is really interesting.
I was not expecting that.
I know. I was like, that's the crossover no one asked for. Like, oh, okay.
I've not really the Brony situation is something that I've not fully, like, I know I've seen like mini documentaries on it, you know, like half-hour long ones, not like a, you know, properly film, but, you know, a handful of them, especially like, you know, in the mid 20 teens. And yeah, I understand like the connection to it in terms of it being a show that like talks about friendship and inclusion and everything else, but the you know, the culture that has sprung up around it is a little surprising and a bit odd to me.
That's actually a really good point. I think it's one of those, I don't know, I think if anything it's a testament on how no one can really like fully control culture. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm 100% sure that the people that created My Little Pony never expected this to be the case, and like to some degree, like, you know, they can't do anything about it. That's like how it evolved, and for some reason, like, this is what happened because of the existence of My Little Pony. But, you know, it's just chaotic. It's all like chaotic. I mean, usually you can be like kind of explain it like yes. And I'm sure that if you go into the psychology of like My Little, like Bronies or whatever, I'm sure people have written about it. But like no one would have been like, yes, I predict that this will happen. Unless you're like, you know what, everything's chaotic. I bet you a kids show is gonna end up having a cult following of older men that like to dress up as ponies. Like, I don't think anyone would have thought about that.
Yeah, and I mean, so I'm kind of like briefly trying to kind of like find a way. I know, like, I'm like, we're gonna get back to the spooky thing, but I do definitely want to kind of know a bit more about the Brony subculture, because you're right, like, it's something that I feel like, you know, nobody really could have anticipated. And I think that, you know, there are definitely some people out there for whom Bronydom has been like a source for good, a really wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then there are other people for whom it verges into some sexual stuff that I find it's not my
cup of tea.
It is not. It doesn't butter my biscuit.
It does not butter my biscuit.
It kind of scrapes the butter off the biscuit
and like pees a little on it.
Yeah,
just like a little bit on it.
Let's see. Hasbro, the My Little Pony, I guess, people, were initially caught off guard by this surprise demographic, but have since come to embrace it, leveraging licensing deals to market clothes, media, and other merchandise beyond toys to this older audience.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'm trying to kind of like get a handle on like what happened, because I mean, really most of what I'm kind of seeing is just kind of like, yeah, and then some people were on 4chan and now Bronies, and I'm like, that there I feel like there are like 7 steps missing. That's like the circle and then the rest of the fucking owl, right? First draw a circle, then draw the rest of the fucking owl.
What? I'm gonna go on Google Scholar and see what they've written about Bronies.
Oh my god!
Like someone's written about Bronies on Bronies, My Little
or
Pony.
JSTOR. There is definitely something someone has to have.
Of course. The first thing that shows up is a book called Meet the Bronies, The Psychology of the Adult My Little Pony Fandom.
Interesting.
Finding Bronies, the accidental audience of My Little Pony, Friendships and Magic. It's cool. Like, this is the Journal of Popular Television. There's transformative works and cultures. It's like what we talk about when we talk about Bronies. That's so interesting. I mean, obviously, like, I was like, someone's written about this 100%. Is it okay to be joyful? My Little Pony and Brony masculinity. That's the kind of bullshit. I'm just gonna, once I smoke some weed, watch me come back to that article. Dude, that's what I'm gonna be reading later.
that title, like, you know, soberly, I'm like, I want to hear all about
read it.
This scholarly investigation of brony masculinity.
That's beautiful. That's the kind of bullshit I'm here for. But yeah, so I'm sure we can learn more once we go into the nitty gritty of it. Probably. I don't know if people have done that yet for Wikipedia. Maybe we should do it for Wikipedia. We should just meet up at some point and just like have a thing where we just like have coffee and just write the Brony Wikipedia page with like newfound information from Scholar.
I would be pretty into that. I've contributed to Wikipedia, but it's more just like pedantic little footnotes to things where it's like, actually, I think you'll find.
I've never contributed to Wikipedia, so I'm looking forward to this being the first thing I do.
Yeah.
Even though, honestly, I feel kind of bad. I shouldn't be talking shit about the shit that I don't know. But if I read enough about it, I'm sure. Why not?
Yeah.
No one else is putting stuff on the Wikipedia so why not?
I think, and I think honestly, like, because it is a full-ass subculture, it probably deserves its own Wikipedia page. I imagine from what I'm seeing, like, there are references to it as a part of, like, the general fandom, but I feel like it is enough of a phenomenon that, like, it ought to be more than that.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, so, anyway, I guess back to the main point, I was just very surprised that, you know, one of the big forces behind tulpamancy in the 21st century does appear to be adult fans of My Little Pony, at least in the early days. Oh yeah, that's how we got there.
That's a good point.
I am very, very surprised. I also, if I recall correctly, so another thing that they mention here is like that some practitioners have sexual or romantic interactions with their tulpas, though the practice is controversial and trending toward taboo, which I also think makes a lot of sense. There's because I think, I don't know, I don't know what they say about it on like the subreddit. I could probably look it up. My impulse is to say that it's taboo because this is a thing that you created. So to
like incest,
yeah, or bare minimum, it just kind of there's just something that's kind of not chill.
Like a robot sex doll, but like made out of energy.
Made out of your energy. Here, I'm gonna go with the Tulpa subreddit.
Is it incest or masturbation? Both.
Ooh.
Oh, she went to the subreddit. Okay, here, that's what's happening.
I'm on my way to the subreddit. No, it's just when you asked that question, I was just like, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. As per usual.
As per usual. Why?
Here, okay, so I think I'll go to, let's see, I'll go to the frequently asked questions, and then if it's not there, I will go to the guide section. I will say, so if you're interested in tulpas, the Tulpa subreddit is already, like, I vaguely remember it being pretty in-depth. The frequently asked questions part alone is very, very detailed.
That's nice. Nacho said that he read some guys. I'm like, did you read them on the Reddit, Nacho? Because, like, I mean, probably. I'm not sure, but, like...
Oh, a guide to creating one. Yeah, I mean, I suspect that's probably what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's see. So lots of questions about, like, confirming a tulpa. Can you prove a tulpa? What are the limits of a tulpa? Do they mature over time?
Oh, do they mature over time?
Oh. Can my tulpa make a tulpa? I want to. I know we were trying to, but I need to know this first.
No, we need to know. I agree.
Yes, they're perfectly capable of doing such, but it's unlikely. It's an overt process resulting in another tulpa, generally on par with the first. The new tulpa would be just as much a part of the same existence as you and your first tulpa, rather than like a secondary existence.
Interesting. But like, doesn't that require energy? I mean, like, okay, like not getting bogged down in the details here, but like, if a tulpa is like coming into existence in some way because like you're putting effort, energy, whatever into it, energy doesn't come out of nowhere unless we decide to like not talk about physics here. But I like to incorporate physics when I think about the metaphysical. So I don't know.
The physics of the metaphysics. I love it.
I'm like, I don't get it. Like,
yeah, I mean, so
maybe it's smaller, physically smaller. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Oh,
no, please share what you're saying. I don't know what I'm saying.
No. Maybe I like the idea that it's smaller. I mean, my thought is that I guess the idea seems to be that you use all the energy to create a tulpa, and it is its own separate entity, since it can like physically do stuff, emotionally do stuff, like all these things, they're like separate from you entirely, that it's its own being. I think so
it can generate its own energy, kind of, or like.
Yeah, I guess.
Interesting. It's so meta.
It's super meta. I don't know. It's a totally reasonable and valid question to ask. Can my tulpa make a tulpa? But I was just like, yo.
Yeah, but like that's interesting, because at that point I just feel like you're really going into the deep questions about tulpas, right? You're not like, what is a tulpa? Like, how long did they last? I'm like, can my tulpa gain consciousness? If it does, like, can it make another person? And if so, how does that dynamic work with me? It's a lot of steps.
It is.
It's soulception.
It's been asked enough times that it was added to the frequently asked questions page.
Right?
I mean, I know Hamma Tulpception.
Yeah. I was reading that.
So I know we were talking about like what it takes to create a tulpa. Popular wisdom suggests an estimate of 100 hours or just over 3 months. Okay. However, recent developments suggest this varies from individual to individual, and with their preferred methods, some have had success in a matter of weeks, while others struggle to hear their tulpa for months. The long and short of it is, don't worry about how long it'll take, don't expect results immediately, but don't dismiss early successes either. So, yeah, in terms of developing it, they're saying, like, you can do only 10 minutes a day. It's better than doing nothing at all. Your tulpa will appreciate it whenever you can spend time with them, and of course, they'll take as much as you're willing to give them. Overall regularity seems to matter more than anything else. 30 minutes a day is superior to 5 hours once a week. And then it looks and says forcing, like putting that energy out at varied times in addition to scheduled times, also seems to work well and preps you for taking on tulpa development as a part of your life rather than an isolated project.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. What?
I'm just like, PTSSP Felix just joined, and he's like, what's the topic tonight? We're talking about tulpas, dear Felix. We are trying to figure out, or like we're learning about how you can create your own being through using energy, thought, whatever. The topic came up because Nacho mentioned it, because I don't know what the fuck we were talking about. Slenderman, that's what we were talking about. And that's how we got into tulpas.
I was gonna say the full progression was me being Lady Dimitrescu and sneaking up behind people at bars on Halloween going, well, Ethan Winters. And then Will Davies mentioned that someone was basically doing that only as Slenderman, and that they killed him, they beat him up at some sort of a con. Yeah. And then we talked about the Slenderman murders very, very briefly before it was pointed out to us that, Slenderman has like a tulpa kind of vibe. Although, based on the limited amount of information that I've encountered thus far in our dive into tulpas, I'm like, I think maybe there might be another term or two that apply more in terms of, like, I guess more like accurately, more precisely.
Yeah, specifically, yeah.
But, similar vibes enough that we were like, well, let's talk about tulpas. And apparently very popular among Bronies. And
yeah, we talked about Bronies for a hot sec.
Yeah,
in the context of them being an active group within the Tulpamancy?
Yeah.
Tulpamancy?
And actually, so Nacho saying, Slenderman was originally a Tulpa. No, at least I think. I'm just gonna Google, is Slenderman a Tulpa? Let's find out.
Let's find out.
So, it is a theory in the Slenderman wiki. So, I get that's a theory on how Slenderman was created, how Slenderman exists, that baby Slenderman, the seed that grew into the
full flesh hunk
the pointy bush of nettles that is Slenderman was a Tulpa, according to one of the theories. Yes, so oh man, I'm sorry. There's so much to this, and I feel like I keep hopping around, but they're just this is such a fascinating topic that I keep seeing things just kind of pop up, and I'm like, shiny,
I want to click on it.
For 5 years, one woman chronicled her boyfriend's fixation with Slenderman on YouTube.
And I want to click on it, and I want to, so what does that mean? Was she just talking about her experience living with this guy who was fixated on Slenderman?
So, apparently this is from 2011. So this is quite early on. This is before...
Slenderman.
It was before
before murders.
Yeah, before anyone murdered anyone in the name of Slenderman. In 2011, a YouTube channel called Tulpa Effect. It was a vlog where a woman named Marissa explained that her boyfriend Roger had acquired a new obsession with Slenderman. So, and there's a quote from, I guess, one of her videos. He reads these forums and he looks online at the YouTube videos, and originally he was talking about wanting to make a Slenderman video, Marissa said. Roger fixated on Slenderman so much, he decided to try recording fake footage for a video. Naturally, he tried roping his girlfriend into it, so Marissa got a camera for Roger. That's when suddenly Roger claimed that he no longer had any interest in Slenderman anymore. But actually, from that moment onward, Roger seemed to change somehow. So, and just, to make sure I'm giving credit, this is an article on Kotaku by Patricia Hernandez.
Okay.
I somehow got those letters backwards, so I was like,
yes.
Patricia Hernandez. I was like, that's not it. That's not what I'm reading. So it's funny, as I'm looking at this, my boyfriend is dating Slenderman, not clickbait. Nacho. Nacho, you're the MVP of the episode. Yes, you are correct about Slenderman being a Tulpa, and you are absolutely correct about my boyfriend dating Slenderman.
Not clickbait.
Not clickbait. I mean, look, even if it is clickbait, that's something where it's that is on point. That is very similar to the My Little Pony thing, where I was like, excuse me, I have questions. I need to poke at this.
Pause. I wanna talk about this more.
Yeah. So, now granted, so as I'm, that initial, couple paragraphs there, it does sound to me like it's, found footage horror project. Oh, hydrate.
Rehydrating, sorry.
Hydrate. Thank you, Felix. Okay.
Thanks.
Boom. So, my initial impulse is to think that this is kind of like a Lonely Girl 13 kind of vibe, or whatever the number was after Lonely Girl. You know the one. Where it was this is my vlog, and then it was no, this is a whole scripted thing, and that's why the lighting is so good. Let's see. So, the Tulpa effect is the common theory on how Slenderman came to exist. as we all know, Slenderman isn't actually real, but his myth postulates that people can make him real if they're not careful. So I think that's interesting. So almost this idea that, like, he, as an entity, it can, like, is somehow more easily made into a tulpa than other entities or something to that effect. Like,
I think that, but like, if you, the way I think about it, that makes sense insofar as I imagine that when you're creating a tulpa, a lot of like the effort goes into, I mean, I don't know, I haven't read fully enough about it, but I feel like a lot of effort probably goes into imagining what they're like. So having Slenderman already be something that's like in the, I would say, like the collective imagination probably makes it easier insofar as like you don't have to like spend as much time maybe creating that part of it.
yeah, like it's so much of it's already done for you, more or less.
Yeah, it's more of like a, what do you call it, like it's pre-made, like you just have to put your batteries in, kind of like.
Slenderman is like the lean cuisine of
Yeah, the lean cuisine of tulpas. You just pop it in the microwave for like 3 weeks probably and you have one.
yeah, or maybe not lean cuisine. What's, because I was like, what's something that's not gourmet and might kill you?
Slenderman.
Slenderman. Slenderman and maybe those White Castle sliders you can buy in the frozen food section.
That'll probably kill you. Like, for real though.
It'll try.
It'll try.
So one of the things that's in this article that what I was kind of looking for initially was the concept of tulpas is theoretical in nature and originates from Tibetan mythology, where tulpas are described as extra bodies that were created from from one person's mind in order to travel to spiritual realms. And then
That's sorry, I'm like, that's real cool, because now I'm just like out here like, is this related to astral projection? If so, are we gonna finally get an episode on astral projection later on this week, like next week? Maybe,
possibly.
no, but that's actually really cool. Actually, I didn't realize that. Yeah, sorry, obviously I don't realize anything because I don't know anything. Keep going.
No, I mean, I don't know anything either. It was just something that I vaguely remembered because I was like, I feel like it comes from, some sort of, like belief system, but it kind of got, appropriated and then kind of like changed around and became its own separate thing within, I guess, the, tulpamancy within in its current incarnation. It is pretty, not super far removed, but it is removed from what tulpas originally seemed to have been.
Right. I'd actually also, bye Felix, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, bye Felix, good to see you.
Yeah, but like, you're right, I think I'd be interested in learning more about like the origins too, like the actual origins, not the current popular culture take on it.
For sure. Yeah. But yeah, and as for, whoa, okay, sorry.
Oh no, more things showed up.
No, like, my boyfriend is dating Slenderman, not clickbait. I just got like the videos are embedded into the Kotaku article, and so I just got like a look at some of the thumbnails, and some of the thumbnails, there's nothing shocking about them. They're just not quite what I was expecting. This guy's got like some wild looking sunglasses and a beard that says "I've been thinking about Slenderman for too long."
Does he have frosted tips?
No, I wish. He
That'd
does
be
not.
Nice.
He's got more of like a long hair, sunglasses, beard, mustache combo, like kind of like a, I don't know, like a hippie, and he's in a flannel. There's just a lot going on.
Okay.
But yeah.
I can picture it, kind of.
The article says, I know everything in the video series is bullshit, but it's recorded in this effortless, unintentional way, like it's a cross between the Blair Witch Project and Cloverfield.
Interesting.
So, yeah, my boyfriend dated Slenderman, not clickbait. It kind of continues on. Updates become less frequent as they go on, and the Tulpa channel was completely silent for 2 years until 2016 when it sprang back to life with new updates. Patricia Hernandez says that she binged it all in one evening, and it's one of the best horror things she's seen all year. I felt terrified, she says, even now as I type this, despite knowing none of it's real.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you can never tell, like, if the intention was to make something that was creepy like that. If so, they did a really good job, apparently. I haven't watched it, obviously. Probably never will, to be honest, but...
Yeah, and you know, she has a really good descriptor of it where Slenderman becomes a thought virus.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Tulpa Effect, the YouTube channel.
Go check it out if you're interested in that.
If you're into that kind of clickbait, you should go for it. I mean, I'm admittedly curious.
I think you would enjoy it. You know me, I'm like a fake spooky person. I don't like spooky things, like real spooky things. I like cute, fun, spooky things.
Not too spooky.
Not too spooky. Everything, there's a lot of things. This is like what I would classify as a too spooky for me, for sure. So.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm back on the subreddit here. There's a lot of questions about the process, like having your Tulpa form into something like it. Once my Tulpa's form is stable, can I change it? By stable, we're assuming you mean your Tulpa is sentient. So a sentient Tulpa can have one or more forms if they so wish and are in control of it themselves. The form is representative of them. In the end, the answer is yes, you can try to change your Tulpa's form after this point, but it will be up to them to accept the change. Is it okay to base a Tulpa off an existing character? Yes, with caveats. Your Tulpa may have the pre-existing character's form, but they are not the actual character.
Right.
Tulpas
that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess they kind of like won't have the same personality and like they're their own thing.
Yeah, I'm like thinking of like, I don't know why this is what I associated with that, but I'm like, oh yeah, like if someone's reincarnated into like a specific body and like they look exactly like the like doesn't mean that they're the same person. I'm thinking specifically of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, where like so that's why I was just like, yeah, Adora's not the same person as the other lady. Well, like, you know, they're the same character, so.
Yeah, well, and I mean, heck, I feel like, you know, trying to like pressure someone into being someone they're not just because they kind of look like them is a little, you know.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Other stuff. Is it okay to force while high or drunk? It doesn't particularly hurt as long as you feel it's productive. If you're a frequent drinker or smoker, it certainly won't hurt to acquaint your Tulpa with yourself in such a state.
Fair enough. Yeah. Imagine. It's just like, you're always coming home drunk. You weren't like this when you made me. That would be really sad.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
Aww.
It's like a sad marriage. We don't want that. Your Tulpa deserves better than that.
Yeah. Seriously. Let's see. Is it okay to give my Tulpa negative traits? You shouldn't really think about traits as positive or negative.
Right.
Yeah, and it kind of goes into that a little bit, just with respect to, like, you know,
just get out of here with that normative bullshit. Get out of my face. I don't want it.
Well, and also kind of like, you know, so like if you want a clingy Tulpa, an aggressive Tulpa, a sarcastic Tulpa, whatever, it's totally fine provided that both you and they understand that they are responsible for their behavior. So yeah, that's interesting. But I do appreciate that they're like, let's try not to judge our Tulpas before we've even made them.
Right. Which is nice. I'm actually like kind of curious. So, I guess the dynamic of like making someone with I guess it makes sense. I'm like, if you're making something and it has its own personality, but you made the personality. Like, it's like, I don't know, it feels oxymoronic in some way, but like, it's not. I know it's not. I understand why it's not, but like, it's just an interesting dynamic where you're like, I'm deciding all these features about you, but then you're just like your own thing. Never mind. It's just like Frankenstein. It's cool. I know how it works. I'm just like, I'm grappling with this a little bit, but it's cool.
No, you're right. It is just like Frankenstein. No, like I laughed because I agree. Like it is. It is. It's exact that you hit the nail on the head. It is exactly like that.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Frankenstein was a lovely person, apparently. So, like, you know, you're right. Like, but he was better than his daddy. So,
yeah. Victor Frankenstein made choices, and then was like, oh well, the consequences of my choices. Now that said, you know, oh God, what's his name? Adam? Is that what?
it started with an A. I don't know if it was Adam, but you're talking about like the other person.
Yeah, the you know, for lack of a better term, like the creature.
Yeah.
I think it was Adam.
Was it Adam? Oh, you might be right. Oh, it was, because I remember being like, it was just like, it's because Adam and Eve, and like, it's something. I feel like that's correct.
Yeah, the Adam of your labors. Yeah, so, I mean, anyway, so, Adam Frankenstein,
Yeah, I should call him Adam. It's easier, probably. Yeah, good call.
did do a murder or two, but definitely was full of a lot of existential angst, and had you know, did want to do good, you know, from time to time. Definitely tried to help out that family who didn't realize they were teaching him to read and things like that. So
That's
you know.
true.
Hey.
Also, hi, Savera. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, but yeah, like, yeah, it's true. It is that was the name he picked, and it's more valid probably than any name that Victor would have given him. So you're right.
Yeah.
Hi, Rudolfo. Sorry, I don't know why I say Rudolfo.
Hey.
It's Rudolph. Sorry, that was completely unintentional. Welcome.
Movo, yes. We got some
Rudolfo.
guests. Welcome, new guests. Rudolph Movo. I did kind of like Rudolfo though.
Yeah, sorry.
And oh, good. Okay, it's not. Yeah, everyone says Rudolfo.
Cool.
But yes, so you're, yeah, like the relationship between like the people who make tulpas and the tulpas themselves does seem to have a bit of a Frankenstein Adam kind of situation going on, although hopefully not so adversarial that you end up on a boat in Russia just like, I'm gonna kill you too. Like,
fuck you, Dad, I hate you. There's a lot of angst, which like completely makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
who's Rodolfo and where can I meet him? Nacho.
The thirst.
Nacho, please.
Go for it.
This is a safe stream. Everyone can shoot their shot consensually.
Yeah.
Consensually though. I was gonna say something about this whole like thing. Oh yeah, like so. I mean, like, it is similar. Like, I feel like it can be similar, like, especially, like, if it's created, like, thinking that you want... Because I think a lot of... Okay. I think a lot of the thing with the Frankenstein novel was, like, also, like, the fact that he realized that, like... I mean, he was a monstrosity because he physically looked like, but he realized that he, like, created something that he could not control. So, to some degree, I feel like having a tulpa, if you create one, like... thinking that you're gonna be like in charge of it and stuff, and then having it be its own entity can be kind of like that. But if you're just like, I just want a friend, and then you're like, it's cool, you can be your own self, then it's not as bad.
Yeah. Hopefully the people that go through all the effort of making one have that relationship with it. It seems like a lot of the resources on the Tulpa subreddit are encouraging that kind of a relationship and that kind of an understanding of these thought
if you make a Tulpa, don't be an asshole. Just be nice to your Tulpa.
There's some, so the troubleshooting section has a lot of questions that I am like really kind of into. So one of them, so the one that I was like, ooh, what if my Tulpa sees my memories or fantasies and doesn't like me?
Aw, that's interesting. What did they say? What was the answer?
It says your Tulpa is likely going to be fine with it, even if they judge those parts of you. They'll also know about the other better parts of you. Everyone has those parts of themselves, and often we are harder on ourselves than others are on us. They may disapprove of something you've done or thought of in the past, but they're not going to hate you for it.
Oh, I really like that.
Right?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to think that, yeah, if you create a tulpa to some degree, it must feel some kind of comradeship at the very least, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right?
I'll whisper the link. Sorry. It's just like, I realize you mean that because that's a Twitch function, but like, I still think it's funny.
Yeah, I had a similar moment of like, you're gonna whisper? Just, Nacho just like, yeah, http://
We're doing an ASMR. It's business pitch.
Go back.
.com.
Rudolph, some of our other followers don't really actually actively don't like ASMR, so we do it once in a while, but we can't sustain it
Sparingly.
for a long time, very sparingly. But I do enjoy it. I think it's very fun to whisper into my mic.
And Nacho, thank you for the whisper on Tulpas. We're gonna circle to that one in a moment or two here. So one that I had never thought of was, what about using the bathroom and other embarrassing scenarios? Will my Tulpa watch? And
I feel like that's just you being uncomfortable with nudity, but that's a different issue. But anyway.
I mean, maybe they want like a little bit of mystery left between themselves and their Tulpa. You know, it's like when like a married couple is like, oh yeah, no, we refuse to take a shit in front of each other. That's our last bit of mystery. That's or whatever.
Line.
That's the line.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. For now.
The only thing we keep sacred. It's sacred.
For now, so far. I don't know why I'm saying it like that, as if like it's. I mean,
if you're married for a long time, at some point,
it
guess, might just become a kink or something. I don't know. People
yeah.
are into things.
Well, honestly, my thought was like, you know, that, you know, some sort of extreme situations, if someone's ill, for example, or if.
Aww. That's so much like nicer and more real than what I was thinking. Like that's like a very like that's a life thing. Life happens, and sometimes you do have to deal with that bullshit. And you're right. That's very
I was also thinking about relationships where one or both partners can carry a child, and one partner is in labor. That is often an element of labor as well. So I was thinking more just like context like that, but you know but you were thinking of like kink, which is also totally valid. I don't want to.
Always goes to kink for some fucking reason. I'm sorry, I don't know why.
Hey, you know, I don't. First, I don't want to. What's the phrase? I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. Not my thing.
Not my thing either. I'm like not like I'm not like in like the weird like I don't want to say weird. Weird is not the right word. I don't feel like I'm very like kinky compared to other people, but somehow my brain is always in the gutter when these things come up. I'm just like bodily fluids, probably a sex thing, even if they're not the sexy kind.
I mean, I feel like it's, in my mind, it's kind of like, you know, when you're trying to help someone troubleshoot and you're like, did you turn it on and off again? Did you do this? Is it plugged in?
Yes.
I think with a lot of situations, like that is something that in your head, like you kind of will categorically be like, is that this? Can I rule that out? Let me see what the next thing is. Like if anything is a little, unclear or confusing or very novel, it's like, Is this
Let's look at the basics. Go through the list of things that it could. Yeah, I feel
is this a sex thing? Is this satire? And I haven't caught on that it's satire. Is it?
Did it just go over me?
Yeah,
Really?
like, you know, is this something that I am too old to understand? Is this some kind of arcane Minecraft reference? No,
too young to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where Rule 34 came from. You're not wrong.
Yes.
It's because of people like me
and
just think about sex all the time, apparently.
Hey,
even though I don't.
I mean,
kind of, I guess.
It's a reasonable thing to think about. And hi, Chaotic Fabulous RPG. Is that Chaz?
Hey, Chaz. If it's Chaz. If not, hi, the other team members. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
hi.
Hi, Chaz.
Chaz, hi. So yes, Rule 34. Very good point. Very good thing to bring up. But yes, you know, it is it
wink,
is it a
wink.
sex thing? Kind of reminds me of last week when we were talking about Brian Brain, the the urine
Euromancy boy.
the Euromancy boy, just collecting everyone's urine. Similarly, like, okay, is this a sex thing? No. Is this related to Minecraft? No. Why does he want does he want my urine for a political purpose? It doesn't seem that way. You know,
just like me going like, what are you doing with my urine? Are you gonna inject it into frogs? If so, I do not consent. I do not consent.
I don't need you to do that for diagnostic purposes. I can just pee on some barley. Oh dear. I know. We promised fewer bodily fluids.
Discordia Nest just joined. Like, what a time to join the stream. Hey girl, what's up?
Hey, Discordia Nest. So we've been talking about tulpas, and you know, we're on the Tulpa subreddit. I'm in the frequently asked questions page. And there have been
good questions.
Yeah, a lot of good questions, thought-provoking questions, a handful of questions that I never considered. And you know, I know we promised fewer bodily fluids compared to last time, but you know, the question of, you know, does my tulpa watch me in the bathroom or other embarrassing scenarios was a question on the frequently asked questions page that I was like, probably because I've not tried to create a tulpa. That is not a contingency that I had anticipated. Thought constructs, yes. Thought constructs, thought forms.
Yes,
it did.
Yeah.
So basically what it says is, since you're two persons that are sharing the same body, it's something you just kind of have to get used to. Just because... yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, please finish. I just have I thought like the tulpa like kind of like lived outside of you, but like it lives inside of you kind of, or like...
That's the impression I'm under. I'm probably going to have to clarify. Because, yeah, I agree that, like, what I'm kind of gathering, what I think I'm understanding about this is that it is, like, an internal and external thing. Maybe there's, like, an ebb and flow to it. I'm not entirely sure. But it says just because they're able to be around for embarrassing situations or when you're in the restroom doesn't mean that they will be intently watching or deliberately paying attention to routine behavior. Most simply aren't interested. As with any other matter, simply asking them to respect your privacy goes a long way, but it's good to acknowledge the fact that they're, you know, in the same body as you or thereabouts, and you know, likely just as familiar with it regardless.
Yeah.
So that's the
it's like
thing.
you're married. Like, yeah, you're peeing, it's fine. Also, Nacho says that it can be either, but most time people create it on the outside. I like how Nacho like knows a lot about this. I think you're really contributing to this conversation because we're both like, I mean, Emily actually is looking at sources. I'm just talking out my ass with my hot takes about things that I don't know about.
I love your hot takes, and I mean, I'm looking at my sources, but I'm still just kind of like, wait, so wait. Yeah. What does my tulpa do while I'm sleeping? Because the brain never... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please. I was like, don't they sleep too? Sorry, it's just me commenting. I'm like the worst person to watch a movie with because this is me watching a movie. I was like, but like, so no, please.
Oh, man,
stop.
I watched Malignant last night, and I wished I had someone to yell at the screen with. And incidentally, if anyone is like, ooh, I was considering watching that, it is a mashup of 80s like slasher supernatural thriller kind of a genre. There's definitely like a camp element to it, so it's just kind of one of those things where, especially as it gets toward the third act, there's just a lot that makes you go, what?
What? Just he throws popcorn at the screen.
Yeah, I did keep messaging a friend of mine saying, we get it, you've seen, and then a movie, I'd be like, we get it, you've seen Brain Dead. We get it, you've seen the Evil Dead trilogy. We get it. I'm trying to think of other stuff that was like
that.
Deliberately like, yeah, there were a lot of
like
things
aggressively on the nose kind of things, or like
yeah, or at least like highly informed by certain shots or certain in some cases iconic shots from those movies or iconic tropes. I will say, however, the sequence that is very clearly inspired by, like, you know, your Evil Dead 2, for example, James Wan does some really nifty stuff with the camera as a part of it that I really enjoyed. So the part of me that was being like a little stinker was like, we got it, you've seen Evil Dead. I was like, admittedly though, this is really fucking cool looking. I'm not gonna lie.
That makes sense.
Discordian Nest says Army of Darkness, shrugs. I really enjoy Army of Darkness. I have fond childhood memories of Army of Darkness. It was one of my favorite movies as like a tween.
Okay. I mean, you know, that's cool. I don't think I've watched that, but sure.
You know, you might enjoy it. It's not too spooky.
It's not too spooky, it's just a little bit spooky.
Yeah.
Spooky light.
I mean, chat, is Army of Darkness spooky light? Do we consider it spooky light? I am thinking a bit of like the pit, pardon the terminology, I just know that this is what she is often referred to by the creators, the pit bitch. I think about her, and I'm like,
bitch.
Yes, she might be a bit much, but I think that's like the scariest thing I can think of from Army of Darkness. Yeah, Discordian Nest, I didn't think of it as particularly scary.
I might watch it. You guys need to understand, like, despite what you might think of me being here, I do not like actually scary things. Which is what makes this dynamic really fun, because Emily actually knows a lot about spooky shit. And here I am just giving hot takes without actually watching any of the things that we're talking about.
But, you know, on the flip side, because we've talked about this before, I do not consider myself to be particularly superstitious. I'm obsessed with superstition, but I do not consider myself superstitious. I'm definitely, you know, the Shane Madej going in saying, "Hey demons, it's your boy."
And I'm definitely like the POC that's like, why would you fuck with the spirits?
Right.
Like, yeah. So it's weird. I'm superstitious. She's not. But she's into weird, like, not weird, like, again, scary, like, more scary things. I can't do it. Maybe it's because I do believe in some way, like, some of those things, so that's why it's extra scary.
Yeah, well, and yeah, and we've talked about this too, where, like, in my mind, I'm like, you know, if my assumptions are incorrect, and these things do exist, then
it's a net gain.
It is. Like, obviously, I have messed up by meddling. Like, you know, you're saying, like, why would you do that? Like, I'd be like, oh, I should not have done that. However,
probably could have died.
I would also be like, but now I know that, you know, whatever they got. For whatever reason, what popped in my head was like, now I know werewolves exist.
Yeah,
for a fact. I know for a fact.
That's kind of cool.
Or whatever it might be.
Yep, Nacho, you right. It's that Catholic, Christian, Latino bullshit. I mean, like, in the best way. I say that, but, like, yeah. Did no one tell you? Sorry. You were saying something. You were reading one of the frequently asked questions.
Yeah.
What do they do when they sleep? And I interrupted, and I still really want to know what happens when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
What happens to your tulpa?
No, me too. Sorry. No, I got distracted because I saw that Did No One Tell You, and it took me way too long to figure out Discordia Nest was referring to werewolves being real. I was like, did no one tell me what? I was like, oh God, what don't I know?
Did they whisper something? Where is it?
Did they whisper something? Or I was just kind of like, oh, you know, like, did no one tell me what horrible thing is happening right now? Did no one tell you the Capitol's on fire? I hope not. No, I don't want that to be the thing.
Yeah,
but, you know,
we don't want that.
When we talk about like things that I have anxiety about, but that's neither here nor there. Thankfully, yes. Thankfully, security seems beefy enough that you know, that only I have confidence that. Oh well, it's the wrong building. I was gonna say I have confidence that that's only an 1812 kind of thing, but 1812 was the White House, I believe, right?
Yeah. I think so.
I think so. Discordia Nest.
Are we in America with our accents? Are we just the worst British people ever? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I have been mistaken for being from Ontario before, but I don't say sorry or anything like that.
Sorry, a boot.
But I mean, I can do that if you want. Maple syrup. Hockey.
I'm sorry.
Also,
yeah,
sorry.
actually,
I appreciate that you didn't want to. I'm sorry, Discordia Nest. I appreciate that you didn't want to assume.
You.
It was very kind of you. But
Thank
yes,
you.
we have like the worst accents.
And I apologize to the good people of Canada. I am sorry that the three things I thought of first were hockey, maple syrup, and the word sorry. I do apologize. You have a very vibrant culture that I appreciate very, very much.
Your immigration system is not the worst, so that's nice.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so these tulpas, what do they do when you're asleep?
They sleep too. What do they do?
Because the brain never totally shuts down, tulpas continue to exist and be there. What they do, however, is up to the personality of the tulpa in question. Some are known to interact with dreams, while others may work with memories of the last environment you were in before you slept, and others will wander off into whatever mental environment you've created and with them.
I like the idea of my tulpa just like having like a nightlife where they're like a taxi driver and like they're just like picking up like people at 3 a.m. Like they're just like, how's it going?
Like in Bob's Burgers?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. He's just like living the nightlife, just like, you know, helping sex workers get to where they need to get.
Yes.
Like, I love that. He wears like a nice little hat.
Oh, I know. And it's not the same episode, but for whatever reason, I was just like, oh, I love that one episode where like he tells the guy behind the butcher counter that like he's too hot for him. He's like out of his league or whatever.
That's a great episode. I love that episode. Mostly because like the guy's like ready to leave his boyfriend for him. He's like, no, wait, who am I kidding? You're too good looking. He just leaves running with a turkey. God, I love Bob's Burgers. It's such a nice comfort show.
It really is, and there's something strangely comforting about like Linda's voice to me, just like that. All right, I'm like, yeah. I was like, everything is all right.
Oh, the Spice Rack episode is also a good one. They're all good. Yo, I mean, we're gonna get back to the spooky stuff, but you don't understand. Like, I've watched all 11 seasons all the way through, like at least 5 times at this point. This is literally my background show. This is what I put on all the time, so I know way too much about it. So yeah. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, but yes.
But I do enjoy that your tulpa would not just. It would be basically doing the Bob's Burgers taxi thing. I love that so much. Mm-hmm. So some tulpas do sleep at the same time as like their creators, but others just kind of like do or don't as they want to, and some don't sleep at all. So like tulpa sleep is very idiosyncratic, it seems.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The question that I think we inevitably would have gotten around to: will my tulpa freak out if I masturbate or have sex?
Yeah, that's what I figured was included in like the bathroom one, but I guess it's fair that we have a separate question for it.
Yeah.
I think how I would have phrased it is like, will my tulpa be turned on when I'm turned on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are we on the same like wavelengths in that way? But like, I get it. So what do they say about this?
Yeah.
Like, do they want to watch? Do they jack off while I'm like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, admittedly, when you said like,
watcher?
yeah, when you said like, you know, is my tulpa turned on as well? I got this mental picture of this being late at night and your tulpa already like, you know, working their taxi shift and just be like, oh no, it's happening.
They're like, I need to stop. It's happening. I can't control it. Their penis just gets erect and they're like losing their shit. So, yeah, it's very chaotic for some reason in my head.
Poor Bob Tulpa. Bob.
Yeah, I'm glad. If I ever make a Tulpa, it'll definitely be like Bob at this point.
I love so Rudolph Movo. Hey Tulpa, if there's a sock on the door, I have a friend over, and you should put on your headphones.
Yes. But actually, though, I feel like that's how it should be. Actually, I don't know what the FAQ like answer is, but like probably they'd be like, maybe tell your tulpa in advance when you have someone over. Don't be a dick roommate. Like no one likes to be surprised by that.
Yeah. So it says many of them seem entirely unperturbed by the sexual activity of their hosts, but they may possibly comment on your action or be seemingly disrespectful of your privacy.
They're just like, are you really giving him head like that right now? You know he's like about to like just pull your head off, right? You're like biting his dick. I can tell by his face, and you're like, stop.
Your tulpa is just kind of like, for whatever reason, maybe my cartoon brain tulpa person is Squidward tentacles, because I was like your tulpa's there holding a clarinet, just like watching and being like, your ass looks so weird right now. And you're like, what? How is that helpful? How is that helpful?
That acne scrub we bought, like, I swear to God, like, you bought it 3 weeks ago. Why haven't you tried it yet?
This person's vocalizations sound like a goat. And you're like, what? No, now I can't unhear it.
Stop, now I can't see it. Why'd you ruin it?
Rudolph Movo, some people have an issue if the pet watches a supernatural entity, kind of magnifies that. Yeah, I mean,
because it knows. Like the dog is probably like, that's weird. What's happening there? Can I be a part of it? But yeah, a supernatural thing that's sentient and like has, I'm assuming, like similar mental faculties as humans do at this point. Like, yeah, that would be kind of weirder. Unless you're into that. Like, I feel like someone who's a voyeur or like someone who's into like performing or like stuff like that might be really into like their tulpa watching.
That's true, yeah. Well, and it says we can't comment on sexual, and actually, so I think this gets toward like the point we were talking about earlier with respect to it being a bit of a taboo to have like a sexual or romantic relationship with your tulpa. It says we can't comment on sexual activity directed at your tulpa, so figure out yourself as two persons in one body. So it kind of sounds like when it comes to all of this, basically, it's just kind of like a matter of negotiation and also hoping that like they're chill. Yeah. I mean, I also, I think, you know, we've been talking about like them commenting on everything. Because it says, you know, they might comment on your action, but I'm like, what if they're just kind of like, they're commenting on other stuff entirely? Right?
They're just like, hey, by the way, like we're out of orange juice. I know you're in the middle of something right now, but like, could you like, do you You should write it down because it's been a few days and we still don't have orange juice.
Like the Tulpa pulls up like a wooden chair in a really squeaky way and sits down and is like, okay, I need to talk to you about cave diving. Cave diving is extremely dangerous. And let me tell you, like, there was an incident in South Africa, and I just, like, you gotta know. And you're like, what?
You're like, ma'am, sir, like, please.
This is really distracting. Well, at first I was like, this is really distracting, please stop. And then I was like, but then what if it's something, because I am interested in that. Like, that I was reading about that earlier today, that's why I have it on my brain. I'm like, so it's like, oh, I want to know more about the cave diving, but I feel like it's gonna get very awkward if I stop activities. And I'm like,
I feel
I apologize.
Like, I want sex, but I also want smarts. My brain and my body, they don't want the same thing. Oh no. It's a classic, you know?
Yeah.
Classic.
Although I do have a small confession to make, which is that at one point, fairly recently, I was in a situation where things were getting a little whatever.
Heated?
Yeah. But then I remembered this article about a chunk of brain that grew eyes, and I got completely derailed. I forgot what I was doing.
I know the exact thing you're talking about because I definitely went down a rabbit hole for that for a while at one point too.
Yeah, I may have. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say I inadvertently.
I inadvertently started thinking about that.
Ruined the moment, because I got too distracted by the brain that grew eyes.
Did you ask the person you were with about it? You're like, hey, have you read about the brain that grew eyes?
I did totally own up to it. I was like, hey, I am very, very sorry. But you have to. I was like, you have to understand. This brain grew eyes.
It's incredibly creepy, and like also like it poses a lot of philosophical questions that I'm not ready to face. But it's fine. It's cool.
Yeah, so anyway, that's so the Tulpa thing started off as a joke, but then I was like, oh no, wait, like I do that on my own sometimes, apparently. I don't need a Tulpa to derail me with something.
A Tulpa might be like magnifying that though. They might be like, yeah, do you know that thing? And you're like, oh god, I thought I wasn't gonna think about that anymore.
And they're like,
no, I think we need to talk about it.
Yeah, right now. Baseball, grandma.
Well, if that isn't heterosexual sex, if I haven't read about it before, that is exactly what it is. The guy's actually trying to do so well, and they're like, yeah. Do you remember that time the brain grew eyes?
Oh no. Oh dear.
I mean, we don't have to pace ourselves. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like the guy's trying to hold back usually. The girl is just like, I wish I had something to hold back. I don't. So keep trying.
Yeah. That's like a whole rabbit hole, because then I was thinking about like queer sex as well, and how that is different. That's a time warp. But anyway, you're if your Tulpa might be chill, might not be chill, depending upon its personality and your relationship to it when it comes to when you are engaging in any sort of sexual activity. If you're allo in that particular area.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
or you know what I mean? If allo or demi or anything like that. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Well, and it's not as if people don't masturbate. I'm sorry, I'm getting in the weeds. I'm just saying, if you engage in these activities, your Tulpa may or may not care.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's its own thing. Like, it's like, David has pumpkins.
Its own thing.
It's its own thing. It might be into it. It might not be into it. It might just be like, hey, I'm gonna leave the room, or it might be like, hey, I'm gonna sit here and watch you, and you have no control over that. Unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, it is what it is. I do wonder, like, this is like moving, I guess, taking a step back from the actual, like, if you have like a tulpa, like questions more of like I guess like the cultural aspect of like tulpas. Do you think that like this, or I don't know if there's any way to verify this, I have a inclination to think that maybe this is something that gained a lot of popularity, especially during the pandemic, with a lot of people like being lonely. So I was just like, I don't know if there's anything on there that could indicate like,
ooh, great
when
question.
this got really like became like more of like a mainstream, as in like obscure internet, but obscure internet is still a culture, so it's still kind of mainstream.
Yeah, well, I know definitely, like, I've seen a handful of stories about how interest in astral projection really, you know, there was a huge uptick in that during the pandemic. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there is a way to ascertain that information. Da, 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 da.
I also don't want you to like have to like spend too much time if it's like not like, it was just more of a thought that I had, because like my inclination is to be like, yeah, probably. I can't imagine people just being like, hey, like it'd be nice to have a friend.
Yeah, I suspect so.
Yeah.
I mean, and the there's like a like there have been some surveys there, you know, are about like, you know, the psychological, social, demographic profiles of these tulpamancers, according to Wikipedia. And it says they belong to primarily urban, middle class, Euro-American, adolescent, and young adult demographics. And they cite loneliness and social anxiety as incentive to pick up the practice.
That makes sense.
So based on that, I'm kind of like, it does seem likely. And actually, so this is, I like this. 93.7% of respondents expressed that their involvement with the creation of tulpas has, quote unquote, made their condition better.
See, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Like, but so yeah, I think it's like one of those things, like regardless of how you think, like, doesn't matter if it's real or not to you, if it's real to them, you know, kind of thing. Like, because I think I saw a Discordian Nest like post about it. Like she's like, or they said that, like, you know, it's all in their heads. Like it's very likely that it's that, like, you know, it's the same way that like, I don't know, like, well, obviously imaginary friends I still think are a form of tulpas now. But yeah, it makes sense that you, if it's working for someone. Actually, so I don't know why I just remember this. I was reading this book about like sexual, like female sexuality stuff, and like, you know, whatever. And one of the things that like the author was like really interested in like getting across to the readers was that, you know, in the end, like I feel like judgment is like one of the things that like really like is the hardest things to overcome in order to like whatever, like, and it's like female pleasure and all that. But one of the examples she gave is like this lady that apparently whether like you think it's whether the doctors were like it's a psychotic like vision or whatever, like psychotic again, like in the medical term, not meant to be like, you know, like psychosis, but like but she said that she got like a gentleman visitor like all the time, and like that she had like mind-blowing sex with them, but like obviously like they weren't real, and she knew that, but she was like really ashamed of that. And at some point one of the doctors was like, literally, as long as it's not interfering with your daily life and your function as a human being, like, okay, just fucking like enjoy yourself, whatever. And like literally, like it turns out like, yeah, she decided to take the advice, and like I think she did limited it to like a couple of times a week, but then she'd be like, yeah, I have an appointment like at 8 p.m. or something, like have a male visitor coming, and like that way she'd be alone in the house, and like she'd get off. And like again, like who is that hurting? It's not hurting anyone. So does it matter if the guy is real or not? Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter really.
Well, and that's interesting too, in terms of like, you know, like you say, it was established that it wasn't interfering with her life, And, you know, she was aware that this situation was not entirely real. I'm seeing this smirk. What's going on?
Sorry, it's just like Discordianess was like, it was a joke considering that it's a mental construct, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I read too much into it, but like, you're right, that's a funny joke. But like, yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I just like felt bad I needed to respond.
No.
Like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Interrupt away, seriously. I mean, I was just kind of, you know, saying like, yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And Discordia Nest pointed out there's no danger of going blind. So that's good. Similarly, I don't know, you can do it till you need glasses. Yeah, that's where the, oh no. Oh dear.
Oh
God. Oh no. Well, I was just like, the going blind thing or whatever, I was like, yeah, like, you know, cornflakes were invented with the intention of, diminishing sexual desire, like that's part of Kellogg's.
What?
Yeah, the reason,
what?
Part of the reason he made cornflakes was to stop people from being horny.
How did what was the logic? Like, what was like, it's like the peeing on barley thing, like they were like, yes, this is something that'll like do science somehow.
If I recall correctly, and I'll Google to confirm, but if I recall correctly, it was because cornflakes taste so boring that the lack of exciting flavor would not get y'all riled up. It would make it, you wouldn't have, it would be one less thing to rile you up and make you inclined towards sin.
I feel like knowing that now, I'm just gonna see cornflakes and like I feel like it's just gonna make me like want to be horny. Like even if I'm not, I'm just gonna actively want to be like, you know what I mean? Like as in like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to search this. Cornflakes.
Cornflakes, sexual prevention.
Created to stop. So this is we were talking about Canada before. This is from McGill University, the very first article that came up. Cornflakes were created to stop masturbation. Yeah.
Poor fool indeed.
Yeah, Kellogg stood by his original vision, that of plain and boring, sexual desire-killing food. So, unsweetened cornflakes were designed to just, to make you, he thought that certain foods inspired, quote-unquote, self-pollution. Spicy foods, meat, anything that tasted too good would make you more inclined.
It's like kind of racist, but like it's fine. We're not gonna
get
too into that for sure. But like, yeah,
it is. It's totally.
But also, I really just want someone like, I mean, now it's too late. Like the person's dead. But like, if this had happened like during our time, I wanted like someone would have protested by like having like sexual like things like while eating cornflake or like on a bunch of cornflake or some bullshit to like make a point of it. But yeah, it doesn't matter.
I mean,
because Raisin Bran caused too many pregnancies.
Classic. Yes. Classic.
We know. If you don't know about the Raisin Bran.
Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time.
Eat too much Raisin Bran, one thing leads to another. And the only thing that can stop you is wanting to read an article about a brain that grew eyes.
And that's how you actually get people to stop having sex. Give them science.
Discordia Nest is imagining a bath full of cornflakes.
That's what I was thinking too. Like I'm just like visualing like a homemade shitty porno of like people having sex in a bathtub full of cornflakes.
That must exist.
Feels like a statement. Probably someone made this. If not, someone go and make it, please.
Yeah, I'm not about to search for it right now.
I would love for that to be in your search history, though. At this point, I feel like it's almost a game and getting to see like what's the weirdest thing that we can get Emily to like Google.
I mean, like, listen, my FBI agent deserves to have some fun too, right?
They're having a blast. Either like they probably kept rotating until they found one who was down with the weirdness, and they're like, "This is fun. I enjoy this." There were probably a few that were like, "Oh my god, what is happening?"
Yeah. I got a question about who's in the bath. And I don't know. Like my first thought was the obvious constant joke about the friend of the show.
Should be Jude Law. I agree.
Yeah, it should be. Okay, so who's in the bath full of cornflakes? It is friend of the show, Jude Law, actor of stage and screen.
I also want to put Lil Nas in there because I can't get enough of him lately. I'm so obsessed with him.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And you know, I feel like it would be like he'd find a way to like make it super fashionable.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It'll look nice. Like
be a
maybe
look.
the bathtub will be like studded in like diamonds or some bullshit. It'll be nice.
Yeah. Or is he in the tub with Jude Law and the cornflakes? Is it
That's
both?
what I meant.
Oh, okay. I
It's
thought
both of them. They're having sex in the bathtub full of cornflakes. So it's still kind of like it's like it's R-rated, but like it's still like you could show it to audiences, so like it could go viral more easily than an actual porn video.
Right,
But
right.
yeah.
Tasteful cornflake.
He's a very
bathtub
tasteful bathtub sex. For like it's making a statement.
Yeah, but I just saw Hublu mentioning Lil Nas X cover of Jolene. Yeah, it was really good.
I love him.
I do
I
too.
think I tweet about him a lot, but like I'm just like, God bless that man. He's so great.
Such a fantastic artist on a lot of levels.
Just amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend to everyone.
Yeah. So as per usual, like one of the things I enjoy a lot about the show is I'm like as per usual we've started here and now we're at this bathtub situation and I'm like we started with the slenderman stabbings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad. I am enjoying.
I am not mad at it either. I love it.
I also love the idea of. I like the idea of seeing Jude Law and Lil Nas naked in a bathtub full of cornflakes is something that I would never not want to see. You know what I mean? Like I would never be like, oh, don't show me that. I'd definitely be like, I would want to see that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think in my case it like depends on a handful of like factors, but like it's kind of one of those ones where if this were something that were you know put out, if this were a part of a music video, or if this were something that was just like all you know like this is for whatever, this is our
charity or something,
whatever, yeah, or you know wow these perfume commercials are getting super weird, right? Like whatever it is. And everyone were like, dude, it's Jude Law and Lil Nas X in a bathtub full of cornflakes. I'd be like, I don't know why.
But I don't understand, but I have no questions that I'm 100% behind it.
Will I gain context by watching this?
Does it matter if I gain context? I don't think so. It doesn't matter to me. Some people might care about the context, but I'm all in. Just tell me. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's my money. Just take it.
So it's they're like, you know, it's kind of like a handful of things where I'm like, you know, as long as, I mean, really the thing for me is I'm like, as long as it's something that is intentionally being presented to everybody, I'm like, yes, that's fantastic. I do enjoy a good person covering themselves in strange food moment. Like, I don't know if you ever saw Showry when Showry was a thing, and she was in the bathtub full of ketchup.
No, but that I have an image of like a lady in a bathtub full of ketchup. So maybe I am like I didn't watch it, or like I don't know, but it sounds like somewhat familiar.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, I'm not gonna like go into too much of the.
Wait, what's the name again? I'll look it up while you're talking about
Showry.
Showry.
There, like, she's got a couple of videos where she's just doing all sorts of unexpected things with food. And you know, while there are definitely a handful of those that are not beyond critique, there are, you know, the ketchup one, for example. I'm just like, oh man, the ketchup one is classic.
You're like, hell yeah.
More ketchup. She needs more.
Needs more.
But,
Yeah, I'm looking at the video now. Yep, there's a lot of ketchup.
who-
That's like, I was like, again, confused about it, but like, I was like, I do remember this somehow. There was also fries in the bathtub. So it was fries and ketchup.
gotta have gotta have the fries for the ketchup.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you know, I love a good performance art moment, and that sounds like, you know, the cornflakes would be a good performance art moment.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% sure Lil Nas would be behind, and I'm sure that actor of screen and film and stage, Jude Law would be interested in that as well. I'm sure.
Yeah, we should call both of their agents or managers or
Immediately.
whomever,
Guys,
their publicists.
guys.
We have
an idea.
We have an idea. Don't, like, hold on, like, don't like, just wait till we finish our pitch before you say anything.
Hold that thought.
Hold that thought. You know, well, and then I was like, I was trying to think of like anything I could think of that I'm like, I'm trying to think of like some moments that either of them have had that have been equally or more inexplicable, but I admittedly am struggling.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if we like take some time to look into it, we'd find something. But like,
yeah. And yes, Discordian Nest will surely have an in with friend of the show, Jude Law. You know, whenever
friend of the show.
Yeah, whenever he has a break from filming his latest project.
He comes by sometimes. He's very nice.
Yeah. The part of me, although admittedly part of me is like, what is Jude Law filming right now? I'll just Google, what is Jude Law filming right now?
What is Jude Law doing right now?
What is Jude Law doing right this second? It is 12:44 BST. Do you know where Jude Law is?
I need to know right now. Sherlock 3 says Who Blew. That might be it. That's a good point that was coming out. Also, Rudolph, yes. Like, put in Kevin Bacon instead, and then you have bacon, milk, and cornflakes. That's a good breakfast.
Ooh,
yes. I love that. I love the messaging.
That is clever. That is clever.
Good messaging. I love it.
Producing films. Ooh. Okay, so I'm finding like recent releases. I'm finding you know, either that he was a performer in or produced. But I'm not as easily finding what he's immediately working on. But I do enjoy the fact, and I'll be curious to read more of the things that he had to say on the matter, but Jude Law, back in September of 2020, did an interview where he talked about today's current pandemic compared to the movie Contagion that he was in, which was about a pandemic.
Yeah.
Which I've also been meaning to watch, actually, because I'm kind of like, especially because Jude Law's character is essentially like an anti-vaxxer sort of person, where he's spreading quite a lot of misinformation. Like, I've not seen the movie, I've just seen like, you know, bits and pieces of clips.
Yeah. I didn't even know about that movie. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, friend of the show, Jude Law, did an interview where he sort of talked about the pandemic from the perspective of someone who played that kind of a character in Contagion. I'm not going to read it to us now on the stream, but I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna leave that up for later.
You can post the link on the
Discord
too, because I'm sure other people like me are interested about this. So.
Make an entire like separate channel that's just called like Jude Law Watch or something.
Jude Law watch. We literally just keep tabs of what Jude Law's doing.
We'll put that.
And then
we'll
we
put
can
that.
accurately. Whenever he shows up, we can be like, "Thanks for taking time from Contagion to hang out with us."
From your busy schedule playing Dr.
From your
Watson.
busy schedule.
We'll put Jude Law watch right around horny jail.
Yes, horny jail, Jude Law watch. Dude, I would like immediately after this stream is done, I'm 100% just making that happen. 100%. We can just talk about Jude Law all day, every day.
All day,
and if Jude
all day,
Law
every
joins
day.
us, he can just keep us up to date with what's happening with his life.
Oh my god, I just had this idea and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to commit to this, but I think it would be funny. You know how sometimes people stream themselves watching movie marathons? What if we had a Jude Law movie marathon?
I would love that. That could be a different thing. We just do it like once a week. We just watch a Jude Law movie.
Oh my
and
god.
like, I don't know how copyright works. We probably can't show the movie. We can just like start playing it and react to it as we go.
Or like, I don't know, make like a YouTube video of us watching and reacting to it, because that seems to be something that is allowed. But yeah,
I love that. We're just big supporters of the Jude Law. The Judes, as we call him. Can you imagine? I feel so embarrassed when I call him the Judes. Hey, the Judes!
The Lawman.
No. Oh.
Oh my god.
He loves us. I'm sure he loves us.
Oh man. Yeah, and it's funny too, because I'm like, I haven't booked anything in film in a very long time, and I'm like, you watch, like, I'm finally gonna book something, and they're gonna be like, yeah, you know, you're a day player, you just have this one scene where you're talking to this character, and I'll, you know, I get on set and I'm like, oh, fuck me, it's actually Jude Law.
If
I would live for that. If
you have a job and it's Jude Law, the person that you're working with, I need you to just, I don't know how it works. I think it might be too embarrassing, too unprofessional, but part of me is like, can he be on a stream? Like on the chat, just be like, hey, it's actually Jude Law. Even though our friend of the show, Jude Law, who shows up is the real Jude Law. Yeah. And like, it'd be nice to be like, this is the other account of that person.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You know, Jude Law, you know, I was gonna say it's not like full on Tulpa situation, but like, you know,
it's true.
There are two of them, but they have different personalities and, you know, are different entities. The Jude Laws of the world. But yeah, it's one of those things where I kind of hope that does happen, and also kind of hope that it doesn't, because I don't know if I would be able to keep it together. And that would be very bad for me.
I feel like that's why I was conflicted. I was like, I want you to do a really good job, and I want you to like be professional and like, you know, keep climbing up that ladder, whatever the industry situation is. But then part of me is like, I really need this. I want this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like of. Yeah, I can't imagine a situation where that would happen. But you never know. There might be that one specific instance where they're like, we want a girl who is slightly taller than the perfect height, who has a little bit short brown hair, and you know, it talks. I'm trying to think of how I would describe my speaking style. Whatever. Like we're looking for someone who talks just like that one. That one that you sent me a video of. That one.
Give me that one. I want that one.
Jude Law sounds like a police procedural.
It does. It almost sounds like someone created a fund or a law after someone died over something dumb, and then now we have Jude's Law.
Jude Law, attorney at law.
Attorney at law. Also, Jennifer Aniston speaking type. I can see that. That's a good one. Hi, Jad Bod, by the way. Hi.
Hi, Jad Bod.
I don't know if I've seen you before, but hi.
I've heard that before. That it's a Jennifer Aniston speaking type. What I should do is I should watch more Friends so I can like really capitalize on it.
I mean, people love that. She's
Yeah.
still like, you know, she's known enough.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like things that Rachel does in Friends. Just like, what is this?
I also like that the Discordianness was like, or not do that, because I think that's funny. Just like, don't do the Jennifer Aniston thing.
I mean, I think most of the time I decidedly don't do the Jennifer Aniston thing, or at least I try to not do the Jennifer Aniston thing on purpose. When I was a teenager, the person's voice that I used to always want to try to do was Kim Cattrall.
Oh, that's actually kind of cool. I mean,
I don't know if I succeed. I certainly did not succeed, but you know, it was just
you
fun.
probably got close. Yeah,
It was just fun to try to talk like this the whole time.
Very airy. I love it.
Yeah, very airy, very deep. Always using this kind of a speech pattern.
Inflection. Just
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
I think the one thing I would ever want to learn to do properly is Moira Rose. And like, it's dumb, but like, because it's like, I'm terrible at accents, I'm terrible at imitations, but like, if I could ever just do one properly, I just want to do Moira Rose.
You're so close already. Your character on Sunday. I swear to God.
I can work on it,
Immediately.
make it like a Moira Rose, like immediately like that.
You are so close already. Like, it sounded amazing. Seriously, dude.
I don't even think I was doing a voice, but I'm glad. Maybe I'll just like go back and look at it and be like, okay, so that's what I was doing. Maybe I could just capitalize on that.
Yeah, I think if you go back to you'll hear it. You'll be like, oh yeah, Moira Rose.
I get it. Some parts of it. If I could do one voice, it would be Brian Blessed.
Yes.
Yep.
Good choice. Very good
solid
choice.
Chose Hamo.
Always a welcome one. I'm trying to think of like, I could hear his voice so vividly in my brain. It's one of those, it's one of those like, I was gonna say like kind of like a Matt Berry category, or like a Christopher Walken, or what, like those voices that are so distinct that you're like,
you can just always have it there. Yeah,
in
that's a good.
Matt Berry's voice is featured in the movie Moon, which is a drama starring Sam Rockwell. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
It took me out of it for a second because I just remember kind of like, I'm like, I had to take notes on it for a class for my master's degree, and I'm like taking notes, and I just remember like I was writing something down, and I'd start hearing him speaking, and I was like, is that Matt Berry?
You're like, it. Well, like that's like whenever I hear Will Arnett in something, I can't take it seriously. I'm always just, I mean, like, not that he's in a lot of serious things, but like those kinds of voices where you're like, I know who this person is, and I cannot associate them with that. So
yeah, no, Will Arnett is definitely one too, where like it takes me a second, like when he's in something serious, to be like, oh, he's not. This is not a bit. Okay, we're here. We're in it again.
I think that was the whole thing for me with like like the BoJack Horseman thing, because I'm like, a lot of it like was supposed to be funny, but like it was hard to sometimes distinguish like when he was trying to be funny and when he was not, because I'm like, it's Will Arnett. But like no, he did achieve a good, like, I don't know, it's a good show. It's
BoJack
it did what it
dark.
had to do, but like it's very dark. It's very dark, but yeah, but also very relatable. Fine.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, gosh, very. What a show.
What a show.
Well, I mean, we really veered off the Tulpa situation.
Really?
But honestly, we covered quite a bit of it. I think it wasn't comprehensive, no, but hey,
we talked about it a little bit. Nacho sent us some other things, so
and
we'll probably go into that.
Absolutely.
At some point.
Let me and we can put it on the Discord, and I'm also just gonna take a quick look here. Okay, so Oh, I see. It is a story, and the beginning of it I do find interesting. Like it's it starts off with a character who spent 6 months participating in what they thought was what they were told was a psychological experiment.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, ooh, good start. I'm very interested.
That is a pretty good start.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of like, is there anything that we want to investigate or speak on before we wrap up? I know we've been streaming for 2 hours. It is very late for our UK friends.
Thanks for hanging out, those of you that are still here. Man, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking now because I'm just like, now I'm like thinking about like Will Arnett's voice. I'm also thinking about eating a sandwich, and it's really hard because I can't not think about it now. And I'm like, I should really make a sandwich.
Will Arnett's voice. He's driving a taxi.
He's driving a taxi, and he needs to pull over on the side whenever I get horny because he feels it too.
Can be distracting, fine. And yeah,
he'd be distracted.
He's got to focus on the road.
You can't drive if you're horny. Like, it's hard.
That's
really
the rules.
hard. That's the rules. I don't make them. It's just how it works, But yeah, so it's one of those things. I think like next week we should totally try to do well, I don't know. I don't like saying things and then just like having to do them, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like it's one of those things where like maybe at some point we can go into the astral projection shit only because we kind of like mentioned it, and now I'm just like, this is building up. We're eventually gonna get to astral projection and like the CIA report.
Yes!
Which is what I want to talk about.
Oh man, that situation, so good. And
I'm not gonna lie, I tried to read it. It's hard to understand. I was like, this is really hard to understand. It's being very obscure. But then I was just like, but I really wanted to say what everyone else is just saying. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be really fucking fun.
Yeah, well, and too, like, it... Oh, thank you for the follow, Singal.
Aw, hi.
Hi.
Thanks. I mean, like, not hi, but, like, thanks.
Maybe I'll see if I can, if over the next week I can really get into get for whatever reason the phrase that popped into my head was get eyeballs deep in the CIA reports.
You just want to say get balls deep into that CIA's report. Yeah.
Eyeballs on it. Because I do agree with you. They are very dry at times and also somewhat difficult to sift through, especially if you're looking for the weirder ones. They don't necessarily make it the easiest to find. Like they're not like, oh yeah, if you just search weird astral projection moment, it'll be like, oh, which of them do you mean?
Don't even, I mean, obviously they don't even call it that, so not meant to be like used the way that I want to use it, like just for like the sake of the magic bullshit stuff that I want to see. But like
well, and I mean similar vibes with respect to, like, I know with my thesis I spent a lot of time digging around in like Project Blue Book, for example, and things like that. Reading like the actual I think Project Blue Book was Air Force. It's been a minute since I had to do this research. I just remember going through all the files and of like, your Roswell, your Betty and Barney Hill, your, all of that kind of stuff. And even just a handful of innocuous ones where it was like, yeah, it was just a chicken. And you're like, oh, yeah, that tracks. But I remember it being really time consuming. And I was kind of grateful that I wasn't required to have like that it was for the purpose of having an informed story, as opposed to writing a paper that's like, here's alien stuff and here are my sources. I had here are my sources and all of that, but I didn't have to like make too much cogent sense of it so much as just be able to talk about it in my defense meeting. Thank goodness, because it was one of those things where I just spent hours and hours like I'm spending.
You're like, what is it saying?
I am spending like 2 hours to get to one alien. Another 2 hours. Half an alien. An alien's foot.
Half an alien.
Whatever it is.
You get an alien's ovary. That's what you get. That's all you get this time. Just an alien ovary.
Yes.
No, I really.
Bye, Nacho.
Oh, wait, what happened?
Oh, Nacho's heading out. Good night.
Good night. Oh, I didn't see. Oh, bye. I'm like not seeing anything. It's cool. Oh, because Nacho's going live. That's what's happening. I forgot. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, what I was trying to say is just like, yeah, maybe I'll try to sit through it too. Only because, again, I remember like Twitter just making a whole fuzz about it and just me being like, I need to read this because obviously Twitter's never gonna read through. Like, 2 people write about it, they tweeted about it, and everyone just started tweeting about it. But like, you know, I'm like, I need to read the source.
I will, in that case, maybe similarly, I'm gonna have to make a list of everything that I'm gonna put on the Discord. Nacho's link. Am I writing this down yet? Nacho link.
Nacho link. The thing about the Bronies?
Jude Law.
Jude Law. What's he up to?
Jude Law, question
Law
mark.
doing?
And then my favorite of those, the astral projection to Mars, I think like 1 billion years ago or whatever. That one is
really cool.
That one's a lot of fun. I don't know if you've read that one, but that one's a lot of fun.
I have not, but that sounds really cool.
All right.
I'm gonna also share the article on My Little Pony and Brony masculinity with the people.
Yes.
So you can look it up.
Well, welcome to Arcana check. We talk about bodily fluids, and then we give you homework and leave.
And then we're like, bye, have fun,
bye,
bye. But on that note,
yeah. On that note, we're gonna wrap up. Is there anybody to raid? Okay, we've got Nacho, we've got TPK roleplay, we've got trans. You know, I feel before I was gonna read the other ones, but I was like, I feel like we probably ought to raid Nacho because he was the MVP tonight.
He really did hold a lot. Like, he did provide a lot of sources through like word of mouth. So we're gonna do it.
All right.
If that's cool with people. I mean, like, obviously you're in charge, Emily, so whatever you're down to do. But like, yeah.
Yeah, I am going to do that. So yeah, good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm gonna roll the credits, and while I'm rolling the credits, I'm gonna initiate the raid. So yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andrea.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.